Hi, welcome back to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe.
Today I just want to go over a lure construction method that I'm working with, and give you an idea of how this might be of help to you if you're building your own lures. So in this case, what I'm trying to do is mimic. I mentioned this in a previous video. So in Cayuga Lake in upstate New York, there was this small fish when I was growing up called a sawbelly, and it was a member of the shad family, and they were very similar in this shape right here, in that they were really, really skinny. So there aren't a whole lot of lures on the market, blade baits maybe, that have a really thin profile and a really tall profile this way, and from a plan view are pretty skinny. So that's kind of what I was after. But in order to have something that's that skinny, it's hard to drill holes in the bottom to put weight in it. So what I did was I glued on a piece of aluminum to add that weight on the bottom, and I also added a couple of screws to give it that mechanical fastening robustness. I'm planning on cutting in a slot here and putting a tail on it, which will affect how well the bait wobbles. And I'm only going to put one single hook on it here in the anal region. So that's the design. It's kind of a proof of concept. So I'm just using the standard bill on the front. I think that's about the right angle, and that hook hanger or the toe line might be a little bit low. It's right along the belly line, but I think it might be a little low. We'll see how that functions. I haven't actually tested it yet. Right now I'm working on buoyancy. It's a slow sinker, and I wanted it to be a suspend bait, so I'm going to probably file a little bit more of that aluminum off the bottom, maybe put a smaller O-ring on the hook, do a couple of things, try to get it to the point where it suspends. So there's an idea for you on another thing that you can try as far as lure construction. Okay, so some updates. I had to actually drill out the bottom here, and I put in a little bit of glass beads in there to give it a little bit more buoyancy. So I took some of the aluminum off. That makes it still sinks, but very, very slowly now. So if I put a smaller split ring on, I think it will be just fine. And then of course I foiled it as well. You can see that. I'm going to be covering most of that up, so there are some blemishes, and you can see here's a little blemish right there. But I'm going to be covering a lot of that up with a scaling pattern when I paint it, and I also put on a tail. When I'm doing the painting, I'm going to mask the foil off, so that I can get a nice dark top and get white on the bottom. And then I'll take that masking off and blend it in. It's also been clear coated, so the foil's on there and it's covered with a clear coat, so I have a nice smooth finish to paint on. So that's the next step, is to do some painting. Okay, you can see that I now have the foil areas of the lure masked off and the tail masked off, bill masked off. All the areas that I don't want to paint are masked off, ready to go. And we're going to start by painting everything that is on the belly or the back. Is going to be white to start out with, and we'll just use a gesso base for that. Ooh, that looks awful. Hold on. All right, that's better. So this is like a laundry bag, athletic bag. You can get them on eBay, Amazon. It's just a mesh material. I buy them as a bag because you can buy the bags a lot cheaper than you can the fabric. So there's a little tip for you. Now, one of the things that you can do, or one of the nice things about this fabric, is that as you wrap it around the lure, it stretches a little bit and tends to stay a little tighter to the lure. Now, let's just say you have some gaps in here, which I'm sure if I looked really close, I could find some gaps. One of the things you can do to minimize the spraying underneath the mesh itself is to use a clear coat first. So I'm going to use some of this Hot Rod Sparkle just because it dries nearly clear, a little bit of blue iridescence, but nearly clear. I'm going to spray that on there first, and that will help fill in any of the gaps underneath the netting, and it will make the subsequent colors adhere to the bait just a little better. So let's do that. Okay, now let's try some color on there. The paint that I used wasn't as clear, so I don't know how well that's going to turn out, but we're going to give it a look here, see what we got. I didn't want any paint on the gill plate area, at least not yet. That's kind of cool. I like it. I'm going to put some more pearl white on the belly here, blend that in a little bit. I'm going to darken the top up here, and then we'll put some detail in the gill plate here as well. Yeah, I like it. All right, let's add some more pearl white to the belly, and I'm going to tone down the metallic on the gill plate just a little bit. I don't even know how much more detail I'm going to put into that. I think just the suggestion of a gill plate is probably okay. Sometimes a little brush touch-up helps cover up some stuff that you don't need. Okay. Now, I could put some more dark paint in there and put a kill spot on there or a shad dot, whatever you want to call it. But I think I'm just going to use a Sharpie and put that on there, because I can usually get it pretty close to where I want it that way. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now something I usually do is I will put a little bit of the dragon glaze on there, and I think this is no exception. And I think this blue-green is our color of choice here. I think that's what we're going to go with. Let's see how well that works out for us. I'm not going to put it on the top here. I'm just going to put it on the sides, I believe. And the other reason why I'm doing this is because the UV will eat into that dot and make it smear. But if you put a little of this over it, you can see what kind of a cool effect we get there too, I think. I'm not sure how much that comes up on the camera, but it gives us a little sparkly all over the thing. So on top of the foil sort of shining through, we now have sparkles on top. Oh my goodness, that looks just like a fish. And this dries clear, so you don't have to worry too much about how thick you get it or anything like that. You'll just have more sparkles in one spot than another. Now it may look, I'm not sure how it looks on the camera, but it may look to you as if I spent an awful lot of time putting that foil on there to cover most of it up. And this is true, but what you get is a flash that's shining through that that paint that you wouldn't get without the foil, and that's why I did it. I think that's going to give me a real nice flash in water. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed that you'll see a lot of people will drill out holes where they want to put their eyeballs. I usually do that, but in this case, I didn't think that that was going to be necessary. I think I'm just going to apply the eyeballs right on the outside here with a little super glue, and then we'll be ready for clear coat. So let's do that. Let's find some eyeballs. What kind of eyeballs do we want? Yeah, that looks good. Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Let's take a look at him. So you can see this guy, he has a tail on him, a single hook, and a much shallower angle on the bill. And I thought that would give me a nice wide wobble. But I've had to do a lot of modifying on this. I had the hook point up higher on the nose. I had it much lower. Originally I had it way down here, and it would basically spin in circles. It was way too erratic. So I moved it up to the nose, and then it hardly had any action at all. So I had to move it down here in the middle. And I think that I've reduced the size of the tail. I've cut that down. I've done a lot of things to try to get this action so that it's acceptable, and I think the only thing I have left is to change the angle of the bill, possibly make it a little bit steeper or more like a diving bait to see if I can get a little bit better action out of it. I might just throw it in the trash. I don't know. But, you know, the paint job looks good. It's really clean and nice, and I like the profile and all, but I just can't get an action that I think is really exciting. So let's take a look at that in the water so you guys can see it. So it looks like he's got a little bit of a wobble there, but we're going 2 miles an hour, so which is, you know, okay for trolling, but you can see he kind of hunts a little bit. I don't know, got a stick on there. That's nice. One stick in the lake when it lands on our lure. Okay, got rid of that. So you can see he does have a wobble, but you really have to be motivating to get it to wobble. And then even then it's a bit erratic. It hunts a little bit on a wobble. So not thrilled with it. We'll see how that goes. I might fish a little bit, see if I ever catch anything on it. Who knows? Maybe it's the next greatest thing to hit the fishing market, or it belongs in the circular file. Latter's more likely. Okay. Love to hear what you have to think about that guy in the comments. If you think he's if you think that's a nice lure, or if you think it belongs in the circular file, let me know. All right, look at that lure. This is one that I made. First one that I made didn't have nearly as nice action as this one, but this one has a really nice action. So let's take a look at it. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see that. That's at 1.5 miles an hour. So it's got a really nice wobble at that speed. And I think he has just the most wonderful color. So I don't know as I recorded the painting of this particular one, but he's got a metallic foil on it, a little chartreuse spot on the top, and just a hint of some red on the belly. And you can see it's a very flat profile, which is, if you've ever seen a shad, that's the way they look. They're really skinny. And I thought that would knock the socks off. Now, it's a really tough day. I'm not catching any fish today, so that's why I'm farting around with lures. But I think that's a quality unit right there. Let me know what you think in the comments.